up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another Mets Hot Stove, day 3 of the MLB winter meetings. And we actually have news to talk about. 2 hours, but back-to-back hot stoves with basically nothing. And now we got something to talk about, and it isn't very favorable for our New York Mets. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
The Dodgers said, you don't have anything to talk about. We'll give you something to talk about real quick. So, yeah, we both did live streams earlier on both of our channels talking about the Edwin Diaz breaking news. Of course, there was a flurry of moves thereafter, Kyle Schwarber being the most notable one, which will impact Pete Alonso's market. We'll talk about that. We're going to deep dive into everything. And we also do have some live reactions to this upcoming David Stearns press conference. What is he going to tell us? The same old garbage, most likely, but we will listen in and we will see what he has to say on the hot stove. So it sucks. It sucks. And depending on how the Mets pivot from here, Rob, will give us our answers and me my answer as to my philosophy of what I think David Stearns is trying to do that I mentioned on the hot stove yesterday, giving out these 3-year deals and not being committed or tied to anything besides Juan Soto after 3 years, and just having these prospects come up and be the face of the organization alongside Soto. I think that is a absolute bold, risky, and egregious move after you sign Juan Soto to a mega deal. But here we are. No Brandon Nimmo, no Edwin Diaz, and Pete Alonso could very well be on his way out. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I got a new nickname for David Stearns. You know how I talked about him being Mr. Propaganda? Well, that's gonna happen again at 6:30, but he is a day late and a dollar short. Day late and dollar short Stearns. That's what I'm going to call him now, because he is fitting the mold of always coming up short to get somebody. He didn't get Juan Soto, Steve Cohen did. He didn't get back Pete Alonso, Steve Cohen did. It's a trend here. And philosophy, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what is the plan, Chris? Like I know it could be about the prospects and everything like that, but you know what though? If it was this is why I think 2024 was a disaster for this organization. And not because it wasn't fun, not because we got to game 6 of the NLCS. Hey, we had World Series aspirations once we got into the playoffs. That's how it goes. But I think it destroyed whatever David Stearns was trying to do, because I think he was trying to do all of what he's doing now in 2024. I think he wanted to trade Pete Alonso. I think he wanted to trade everybody who could have been tradable in 2024. But he would have been, hung on the Queensboro Bridge if he would have done that when the Mets were red hot in 2024. So because of that, and now that he has an opportunity, or he did have an opportunity where guys were free agents, Nimmo contract was a disaster, but he found a way to get rid of it. He's molding his team to how he wants. Now, I'm not against that per se, but you don't sign Juan Soto, who has an opt-out in a couple of years, 4 years, and do what you're trying to do here, because I'm going to tell you this right now. If there's guys that we're talking about prospect-wise, if you're not going to make any of these moves, because if you're not going more than 3 years on anybody, you're not getting Bellinger, you're not getting anybody. You're not getting Tucker. You know what I'm saying? But
I agree with you, but let's address this head on before we get into anything else. Let's address the Diaz situation head on, because that's what a lot of people are here to talk about clearly. Let's address, because I think that this is very clear. I'm not sure that we agree based off the conversations that we had just a couple of hours ago, Rob, and we need to have this back and forth because I think it's important. I cannot blame I will rephrase that. I can blame David Stearns and the Mets for not facilitating a winning enough environment for Edwin Diaz to want to stay. But with what Edwin Diaz did today, it's very clear that he wanted out. Now, whether you believe Mike Puma as well about some anger about, letting go some of the coaches and Jeremy Hefner on Edwin Diaz's side, whatever, that's one factor in the overall factor of losing baseball. But I will say this, my live stream title is as such. What Edwin Diaz did today is he sold out for a World Series run. That's what he did. You do not go and offer, like, I can't blame David Stearns for offering him $22 million AAV straight up as the initial offer without knowing what the other offers are on the table. And then you get beat by $1 million AAV and you don't even get a chance to counter offer, even while you told Diaz that there is room to go up. There's wiggle room to go up. So that's why I put blame on Edwin Diaz in this situation. No, he doesn't have to come back to the New York Mets. He doesn't have to give them a chance to counter offer. The first offer he got from the Dodgers, he took and he ran with it right away. So that is an indication to me he didn't want to be here. If David Stearns goes there and counter offers and matches the offer, because both offers had deferred payments, he's taking deferred payments with the Dodgers, and the Mets offer had deferred payments. You think he's still taking the Mets offer? Probably not. I think Edwin Diaz was all smiles and all fun, and let's build my market. I really like the New York Mets organization. I like Steve and Alex Cohen, but I'm going to opt out and see what I get. Okay, that's fine. A lot of people are still under the impression you're going to go out there and try to get a bag, but the Mets will match it and you come back. You didn't even give a chance for the Mets to match it. That is a two-faced thing to do from Edwin Diaz. And I am telling you, he's a sellout. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I think this is perfect David Stearns. This is exactly what he does. He wasn't going to go 4 years. This is David Stearns negotiations in a nutshell. Like when information broke about the Dodgers getting him, we all thought it was 4 or 5 years before it was 3. Nobody even thought it was 3 years. Then when it was 3 years, then we found out how much he was getting. And then we found out not too long after that it was $3 million less in total contract. I'm sorry. This is a situation where David Stearns thought he was smarter than everybody else, and what he did is exactly what always happens with him. He finds a way to try to get I'm not saying that, it was his best offer or, he was waiting for it. Here's the problem. You're dealing with one team. And that was the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the aggressor. They always are the aggressor. They always go above and beyond, and they make sure they get their guy. David Stearns doesn't do that. He doesn't get his guy, or at least the guy that everybody else wants. He's going to lowball all these guys. And don't tell me it's not a lowball, because that's
$22 million is not a lowball. That is still the highest. That would be a record-breaking deal for Edwin Diaz. How is that a lowball?
It's $1.5 million more than what he was making.
And what? And how much did he get with the Dodgers? $2.5 million more?
He took the most money, and I'm not mad about it. That's the problem.
But he did not. Okay, but that's what I'm saying, though. What do you expect? What do you want David Stearns to do? You want David Stearns to offer him $23 million AAV right off the bat without knowing what other offers are there?
Okay.
We're talking about $1 million difference.
You're going to tell me he didn't know that?
Of course he didn't know that. Nobody knew that. Even Dodgers beat. We talked about this yesterday. Dodgers beat reporters even said they are trying to offload Teoscar Hernandez's contract, and they do not expect the Dodgers to be big players in the market for Edwin Diaz. All the reporters that we heard, Feinstein, Sherman, everybody said Blue Jays and Mets are front runners for Diaz. That's not a low ball offer.
All of a sudden, the reporters got it completely wrong. Or the Dodgers, who are probably all in with these damn reporters, because there's no reporter that doesn't like the Dodgers. It seems set up from the get-go what they were doing. The Dodgers all of a sudden were trying to unload money.
But that's still, I agree with you, and I agree with the premise that David Stearns is digging himself into a very big hole. But you cannot tell me that David Stearns knew the Dodgers were going to swoop in, and you cannot tell me that offering $22 million for a reliever is a low ball when the next offer that he took and went and ran with is for only $1 million more a year.
Do we know that the Dodgers didn't offer that deal first before the Mets?
Yes, 100. Well, Anthony DeComo, there's been nobody that reported it, but Anthony DeComo said, based off of what he's hearing, the Mets had the initial offer. Diaz took the next offer, never circled back with the Mets. That is the chronological timeline.
I find it hard to believe.
Well, then nobody else is reporting it. That's all we have to go off of,
It doesn't
Rob.
make no sense. Like, the best closer in baseball on the market, and you're just going to sit there with a offer. And I'm not saying it's a terrible offer by any means, but
That's a great offer.
But everybody thought he was going to get 4 or 5 years. Why would an initial offer be 3 years when you're just going to sit there
and he didn't
be shocked by this? Somebody else is just going to not go close to what you got.
And he didn't get 4 years. Did he take 4 years at the Dodgers?
But no, but I have. If the Mets thought that 4 years was going to be because if you thought 4 years was going to be the minimum, a lot of us believed that it was going to be 4 years, right? A lot of us we talked about it many times. A lot of us thought it was going to be a minimum 4 years.
Okay.
5, right? Okay.
Sure.
So you're going to start on your initial offer of 3 years, and then what are you going to do? Just sit back, relax, and let nothing happen? Like, here's the problem. David Stearns should not have waited for Diaz to make a return call.
What is he supposed to do then? Give him 4 years, $100 million right off the bat, and that's it?
Yeah. Wasn't he priority number 1 for this team? Didn't we both agree he's priority number 1? Well, you know
sure,
what?
But that does
treated this initial offer was he's priority number 4 because they signed up with Devin Williams first, and this was a backup plan for David Stearns the whole time. He was gonna give an initial offer when everybody thought he was gonna get 4 years, and say the initial offer of 3 years, and you're gonna sit back and relax, think that you're smarter than everybody else. Like, nobody is gonna one up you. They one up them, and Diaz said, "You know what?"
So if Pete Alonso went out there and he signed with a different team last offseason, right? And the Mets were trying not to have that happen, right? And they offered him off the bat a 5-year deal worth $30 million AAV. And then it comes out that Pete Alonso actually had no offers on the table, even close to that. Are you going to be happy with the Mets locking up Pete Alonso for that value?
Yes.
No, you're not. I know you, and I've heard you talk about Pete Alonso. You're not.
But what do I always say? If you want the guy, go and get him. The Blue Jays did it. The Dodgers always do it. You know what? The Yankees did it with Max Fried last year. The reason why the Mets didn't get Crochet, the Mets lost out on Diaz, the Mets are going to lose out on Pete Alonso because I'm telling you right now, they're going to offer him 3 years. They're going to sit on their ass. Boston's going to get him for 4 years, and then everybody's going to complain because, the darling of the New York Mets, Pete Alonso, is going to leave for 1 year, and then everybody's going to say, the Mets will lowball him. Of course,
this comes down to the philosophy of if you are a Mets fan and you take a look. No. This comes down to the philosophy of if you are a Mets fan and you saw that Dylan Cease deal and you would have given Dylan Cease that same deal, that's basically what you're telling me. That you would have given Dylan Cease that deal because the Blue Jays went above and beyond, and you respect that. That's it. And so you would be happy with that Dylan Cease deal. I wouldn't be happy with that. Listen, I'm not saying that David Stearns is in the right here in this offseason. He's got a lot of work to do. Am I confident that he's going to do it? Absolutely not, because I think he's starting to piss me off really badly. He's pissed everybody off already. This is clear. When Diaz, the top closer in baseball, leaves your organization, you're going to be pissed off. I just cannot objectively say, right, that $22 million for 3 years, the initial offer, while telling Diaz that they have wiggle room to go up if you get something better, is a lowball offer. You cannot call that a lowball offer. I don't agree with that. No way. No way.
Here's the other thing, right? It was okay for the Mets to do that with Juan Soto, right? When he just took the Mets deal and didn't call any other team, he went right to the Mets and nobody called, right?
He had a comparable offer from at least 2 other teams,
but not close to the Mets, right? He didn't go back to another team and say, "Oh, can you match this?" Because I don't want to be a Met.
Of course he did. Of course he did. How long did it take the Juan Soto stuff to play out between 3 different teams?
When the Mets made that last offer, he didn't go to another team and say to match it. We all know he wanted to be a Yankee. We all know that. We all talked about it for months. The fact of the matter is, Diaz took the most money and he went. The Mets didn't give him the most money, and that's on them. They lowballed the offer just enough, thinking that they can go back.
You cannot lowball an offer that you don't know what you're up against. That's not a lowball.
The offer. It's not about the $22 million. It's the fact that they went with that. Why would they go with that amount? That's
the highest paid reliever in MLB history money. That's that money.
Chris, David Stearns sat down and said, "Oh, you know what? 3 years, $66 million with a couple of deferrals." That's what they come up to be, and and that came out of nowhere.
And what did the Dodgers do? They said, "I'll give you $1 more million and you take this deal."
Okay, so the Mets gave him that initial offer. So Diaz went to the Dodgers and says, "This is the offer for the Mets." Dodgers said, "All right, we'll give you $3 million more," and he took it. Good job, Diaz. You know why? Because he knew there's something with the Mets that they just don't like to go the extra mile. They never do it.
They would have matched that offer.
I don't think
they would have matched that offer.
I think
they would have matched that offer.
Nobody else said it except for one.
What is $1 million AAV doing to the Mets? Nothing.
I mean, haven't we seen this already? They traded Nimmo to save a couple of years on a contract. They got Devin Williams.
But the differential on that is much greater than $3 million than what we're talking about here between the Mets and the Dodgers offer.
It's still money. It's still money going back in the pocket.
Rob, I just don't agree. I don't think we have the same view of what the term negotiation means. I don't think
negotiation because the Dodgers the Dodgers knew the offer from the Mets, and the Dodgers says, "You know what? You're already listen to it. So let's just come out going with a little bit more money."
The assumption
I don't believe the Mets are going to go another penny higher. I think
that you're assuming that the Mets knew the Dodgers offer, and then they said that they were not going to counteroffer it, and then Edwin Diaz went.
If Diaz had any inkling that the Mets were going to counter that offer, he would have went back. Come on.
No, he would not have. Dude, Edwin Diaz did not want to be in New York, Matt. Do not let this – you bought into what he told the media.
No.
You bought into it.
His best success was as a Met. His playoff runs, little there it was, but he was a better Met than he was a Seattle Mariner.
What does that matter? When you have a ring waiting for you in LA, what does that matter?
You know what?
The Mets are wrong in this situation. I'll tell you what. This is what I'll say. The Mets are wrong in this situation for fostering a losing culture that would entice Edwin Diaz to leave. They are not wrong for offering him a mega deal that is highest AAV salary for a reliever ever, even still, and not getting the chance to counteroffer.
Well, when Pete Alonso says the same thing, say he's a sellout too.
Are you going to be okay with Pete Alonso leaving?
He's going to do the same exact thing because David Stearns is exactly what he does. I've been saying this for 2 years now with this guy. He goes just enough to say he tried and never gets the right guy and gets the bigger guy. He's going to get the B and C level guys that are lesser because they're cheaper because he ain't giving anybody more than 4 years. He probably ain't going to go more than 3 years. So that's why you're going to get Michael King. And if he's going to worry about the prospects, good luck. Maybe you get Michael King. Great. Wonderful. I mean, everybody's excited about that. Nolan McLean, King, and, you could have had everybody else that's better, but let's just go with those guys. And this is what he's going to do with Bellinger. But here's the thing, though. You want to know what wasn't a low ball offer? The Kyle Schwarber one. 3 years, $120 million.
Of course. $1
million for a priority DH.
I mean, if you believe in who reported that, for sure.
I understand that. But you know what? Nobody came out and denied it.
I'm sure, dude. I don't think David Stearns is giving anybody anything more than 3 years on this market. Well, nobody.
Then, Chris, why are we having hot stoves? Because it's an absolute joke.
I agree.
It's an absolute joke.
I'm not saying that.
They could have started with 4 years. Nobody. There was not one person, no reporter, nobody. There was no reporter saying, "Oh, Diaz is going to get a 3-year deal." That's probably what he's going to be probably going to get. Everybody expected him to get minimum 4 years. If the Mets thought that he was going to get 3 years just off the bat like that, and it would have, why not go a 4th year? He's your closer. He's the best closer in baseball. He's on your team. I just don't understand. You should have started with 4 years, and it would have never been a conversation. Now, if the Dodgers would have went the 4th year and gave a little bit more money, you know what? It is what it is. Maybe he wanted to be a Dodger. But the fact of the matter is the Mets didn't want him enough.
So the Mets have to go the 4th year, but the Dodgers don't have to go the 4th year. Is what you're saying.
Because, the Dodgers didn't know the Mets offer. So I understand them not going 4 years when they did not have to. But why? But the Mets left the door open. I think you can agree with this. They left the door open for the Dodgers to sneak in and swipe them away.
I always admitted to that. I always said that the Dodgers are going to be one phone call away, lurking in the background. Even if they would have been the same thing if they offered him 4 years. Would have been the
I
same
don't know,
thing.
but I thought the Dodgers were trying to get rid of payroll. Maybe that 3
That's
years
what
was
they wanted you to think. That we both believed.
great
That's
job.
what I'm saying.
And another masterclass over the
It
Dodgers
would not
looking
have
like the
mattered. This
masters.
is what I'm saying,
I don't know
Rob, is
about
that
that.
it wouldn't have mattered if the Mets offered the 4th year. The Dodgers would have made it happen with deferred money and everything, and we would be talking about the same exact situation as right now, because if they match the 4th year, guess where Edwin Diaz is going? This is where we don't agree. I think he's still going to LA. He didn't want to be in
Maybe.
New York anymore.
Good for him. I wouldn't want to be in New York either, the way the Mets play and the way they get treated.
Boom,
Right?
simple. So why are we going 4 and 5 years for Edwin Diaz, who doesn't even want to be in the Mets organization? Screw him. Move on to the next guy. This is where the biggest conversation should happen: is how do you pivot, or is Devin Williams going to be the end all be all? That's what I want to know. If Edwin Diaz didn't want to be in New York, more power to him. You cannot change his mind at the end of the
Great.
day.
You know who's going to be in New York? All the guys that suck. Because that's what David Stearns is going to do. Because we're not getting Bellinger, we're not getting Tucker, we're not going to re-sign Pete Alonso. Michael King's going to be the biggest signing that we make when it comes
Maybe.
to rotation.
I'm
And
not saying the philosophy sound. I would love to give out 4 years to Pete Alonso. I would give Pete Alonso 4 years. I like Pete Alonso. I want him back.
Even I would do it, but again, the logic is all wrong, because you're wasting years of Lindor, you're wasting the prime years of Juan Soto with so many question marks in this roster right now. It just doesn't make sense. Now you have to, all right, you have Devin Williams. Maybe he can be your closer. And I'm not saying Devin Williams is a complete disaster. Right? We don't know that, right? 2 years ago, he was one of the best closers in baseball. So maybe he can go back to that. But it just doesn't make sense. Like, the Mets are doing their offseason like they won the World Series, and the Dodgers are acting like they didn't make the World Series, didn't make the playoffs. It's a complete opposite. This is why the Dodgers win, and this is why the Mets are a laughingstock. This is why they're the LOL Mets. And David Stearns is already proven that time and time again. And I'm not going to put it all on Stearns when it comes to Diaz. I understand what you're talking about, but David Stearns, the smartest guy in the room, apparently, right? Mr. Harvard grad. He needs to know that you don't leave the door open for a team that's not afraid to spend money. And even if they knew the offer, and you know what the Dodgers probably did? Because, you know what? Can you blame Diaz in this situation, though? Let me just say, if the Dodgers say, listen, this is where we're going, we're not going any further than this, right? We have to move on. Either take 3 years, 69, or we're gone. What if the Dodgers were gone and he didn't take it, and now the only team he's going back to is the Mets, and now the Mets are like, well, you don't have any more we don't have any more competition for you, so you know what? Maybe we won't give you that deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the Diaz logic as well, because they could have gave him an ultimatum. I mean, the Mets kind of gave him an ultimatum, maybe not, maybe, because we only heard it from a good source, obviously, that the Mets were willing to go more, but how much more? Were they just going to match it or not? Like, if the maybe I don't see. Look, the fact of the matter is, I just feel like don't leave the door open for a team that is sneaky with this type of stuff, and we've seen it. You know, like it just felt like the Dodgers set this up to a T when it came to the reporters reporting it yesterday, as we talked about, and it just felt like they were playing this game, and they were on advanced level, and Stearns was playing rookie level. That's the way it felt.
I just don't like, look, I'm looking at what Martino's saying right now. Like, they didn't draw the line for Edwin Diaz. They did not say this is our last and final offer. They bid on Edwin Diaz, is what Martino's saying. The numbers that they already pre-discussed before the winter meetings even began. And they made it very clear to Edwin Diaz that there was more. So let's talk again. And then by the time that they turned around, Edwin Diaz was already a Dodger. This is exactly what Martino is saying right now per the SNY Mets account. They left the door open for him to come back and get more money. They said money is on the table
for him to go to the Dodgers and have a conversation with them. They should have never let that happen. The same way they did it in 2022.
He would have had a conversation with the Dodgers regardless, Rob. Regardless.
I don't know. You know what? I just feel like somehow, some way, Diaz felt disrespected somehow. And I don't know if it was the contract or it was what, because I feel like David Stearns rubs people the wrong way. I truly believe that. It's clear. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody. I don't know. It just David Stearns, like, he probably always has that smirk on his face, and he always sounds like he's just the smartest guy in the room, and he continues to fail. I'm sorry. Like, you traded a fan favorite, not mine, but a fan favorite in Brandon Nimmo. Nobody said it's bad or good. Some of us say good, some of us say bad. And, again, didn't we talk about this? Nimmo, Alonso, and Diaz can all be off this team this offseason. That is a drastic change. And he needs to have a master plan to fix this. Because I'm telling you right now, you think Mendoza's on the hot seat? If the Mets are completely shitty to start the season, David Stearns will get the pink slip along with Mendoza. Because there is no is Cohen signing off on all of this, or is Steve Cohen too concerned about where his money going in the casino?
I mean, again,
it just doesn't seem like Cohen sign off at all.
I mean, is it Steve Cohen's fault? Is it David Stearns' fault? Who are we blaming here?
I mean, I blame all of them. I think they're running this organization to the fucking ground.
Well, David Stearns is comfortable with Devin Williams being the Mets closer if it was opening day today. So
yeah, well, of course he's going to say that because he signed him. That's why he's doing his propaganda 6:30 interview and says, "Hey, Devin, come on board. We already spoke to you 4 times already, but hey, come on board so everybody can say how great everything is." He's going to talk about every prospect under the sun, get Met fans excited about the prospects, just like he did at the trade deadline when he failed. You don't come on the same day, a few hours later, when things just went sour for you with 2 guys that you gave offers to, and you lost out on both of them because of years and money, or in some cases years and money, and in other cases a little bit more money, and you don't go right on SNY and start talking about it. He did the same shit at the deadline. A half hour after the deadline, he went and spilled a whole bunch of bullshit, and we know what we're going to hear again. Bullshit. Because he's not going to have Devin Williams next to him. He just signed a guy. You think he's going to make the guy feel like shit? Say, yeah, I don't really see Devin Williams as our closer. Come on. It's the only guy you got that can be a closer right now. Like, of course.
I actually think Devin Williams will be on that panel. He's going to be alongside David
That's
Stearns.
What I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
This is set up for David Stearns to try to fix or try to, like, manipulate the bad voodoo or mojo that was there with the Mets, and now it's gone. Like, Met fans thought this was going to be a really good offseason. And you know what? I mean, again, there's a whole bunch of players still. I'm not saying that it's going to be a disaster, but
you're writing it off, Rob. It looks like you're writing it off.
Because
Edwin Diaz, who didn't want to be here, is gone.
David Stearns can't be trusted. I said it last year. I say it again. I said it all season. You know what? Even you started to question David Stearns not too long ago.
I still do question his overall plan 100%. I'm not going to say that I don't.
Chris, I don't think he has a fucking plan.
Well, he might not.
This plan makes no sense. It doesn't.
He loves the prospects, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, wonderful. But listen, I just feel like he shit the bed. I'm sorry. He did. Like, he gives just enough of an offer to make it seem like they really tried. And then, he'll puff up his chest like he really tried. And he's gonna say they were shocked. I mean, okay, maybe you were, but you left the door open. You don't do that for a top reliever on the market. He's the top reliever on the market, and you're playing games. I don't know. He should have done better. He should have done better. I just think that he knew he had Devin Williams in his pocket, and I think he just didn't care enough to make a better offer initially. He should have. Everybody thought the minimum was going to be 4 years. You should have just done it. It's not the end of the world. Nobody's going to cry poor on the 4th year. If the Dodgers would have matched it, maybe it'll be fair game at that point. Maybe it'll be fair game. Because David Stearns is shaking in his boots on that 4th year. Because that's what he does with everybody. So it's ridiculous, man. I'm so fed up with David Stearns, and it just all comes together this offseason. The casino, Steve Cohen being dead silent, David Stearns, with his smirk in every interview and his stupid quotes. It's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And all the good vibes you got last offseason because of Juan Soto and all the ticket sales you got. I'm telling you right now, they better have something up their sleeve, man. I'm telling you, man, because they're gonna have to wait for that casino to come to have people come to that stadium. I'm telling you that right now, because Juan Soto ain't gonna be a draw if there's nobody else to watch. You can't have McLean and Michael King as your 1-2 and get people excited. And now David Peterson's on the market too, by the way. Yay.
Who cares about David Peterson? Like,
Oh,
he's
but
not this next best thing since sliced bread. Get
no,
that guy off my team if it really that's what it takes.
well, you better
Anyways,
bring somebody else in. You know what? Jonathan with your one pitch. Let's go. Why not? Why not, man? I'm so sick and tired.
are you telling me that Starling Marte is not going to sell tickets for this team when he gets brought back on a 1-year deal?
Well, Soto will be happy.
Dude, I don't know. I'm just preparing to lose Pete Alonso now. I think Pete Alonso's gone.
Oh, I think it's a done deal.
I think with whatever, because the Orioles offered Kyle Schwarber the same exact deal that he took with the Phillies, right? They're going to take that entire, unless they are somehow in play for Kyle Tucker, they're going to send all that money over to Pete Alonso. And would you do 5 years of 150 for Pete Alonso?
At this point, we ain't getting nobody else, so you might as well. But Davis, it's not going to happen. Like, I would, but David Stearns is not going to do it. So it's like the conversation is like pointless to bring up because I just don't think the Mets are going to do it. Like David Stearns must have locked Steve Cohen in a freaking closet. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like where is Steve Cohen when you need him to step in? Because David Stearns is running this thing to the ground. Really, like you're in year 5 of Cohen, year 6 of Cohen, or year 5 of Cohen owning this team, right? And we've had a lot of disaster seasons. We had a lot of one luck season and a transition year that turned out to be fun, but it's just a couple. We have a collapse. We have underperforming season last year and probably 23 as well. 24 wasn't expected. 2021 was bad. Like,
you know what? I think I agree with this from Ernest right here. He's cleaning house and Cohen is okay with it. It just feels that way, right? It feels that way.
I hope so.
They want, and you know what? I guarantee you, and this is not any knock on Lindor. He's really good. That's really good production from Lindor every single season at shortstop. But I guarantee you, if there was a way that David Stearns could get Lindor's money off the books too, I guarantee you he would do it too. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
because it feels like he is cleaning house.
Because he would rather win the cheap way and him get all the credit than actually build a real team.
Well, if you trade Lindor, it's not like wanting to win. That's the opposite.
Can we find a team that goes with a bunch of cheap players and B and C level free agents and a bunch of homegrown guys and don't make any big moves where, and some people are going to say the Braves, but they brought Matt Olson in a trade and let Freddie Freeman go. So they did make trades to, complement that move that they didn't make. Like, this is not, like, I'm sorry. Like, where are the teams that are winning World Series that are doing what David Stearns is doing? I'm not saying it can't happen. Like, I'm not going to be against that, but it's possible. I mean, even the 2024 Mets, they had, it wasn't a great team. Like, let's be honest about that. They got hot at the right time. We all know it was a lot of luck, but it's possible. Like, look at the teams that have won World Series over the last 5 years. Like, it's not like these are teams that are doing what David Stearns is doing. This guy has won nothing. And too many people act like he won World Series and with the Brewers, and he didn't. They ultimately failed and year after year in the postseason and choked in the postseason. And a lot of his guys that are on the Brewers right now that he brought in here also choked when they had the best record in baseball. So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't feel confident at all. I'm on the verge of just saying I'm expecting disappointment at this point. I really am. And sending pizzas. Thank you for the super chat. Say something positive, Rob. Why? Like, why am I talking positive? What is there to be positive about when it comes to, it's amazing how Met fans are already shying away from Pete Alonso. What happens? Because you read the writing on the wall now? Like everybody just it seems like it, right? It's just out the window at this point. The chat's kind of quiet when it comes to Pete Alonso. I mean, David Stearns is flipping the script on everything here. And again, he wants to make it his team. I'm not mad at him for wanting his players, but we've seen what he's done in an organization where he made his team his players. Yeah, they made the playoffs every year in most of the time a bad Central, but they never did anything. They never gone that extra mile. Now, was it because the Brewers didn't have money, or David Stearns didn't want to go that extra mile when it comes to money or extra years, especially at the trade deadline, trading prospects? Like, Chris, the pathways are shrinking already. You know what I'm saying? The pathways we talked about where you can have a good offseason, they're shrinking quickly. Because I think I would say either tomorrow or Thursday, I think Pete Alonso's signing somewhere. I think he's going to be off the board. So now we're talking about who the fuck's going to be out first baseman. We're going to be talking about Bellinger. That's a joke now. Okamoto, I think he's going to cost. Like, it's going to be. Man, I hope I'm wrong, man. I really hope so.
You know what? I don't even want to make any more speculation in terms of what the Mets are like really going to do in terms of major moves and if they're going to even make a major move. I mean, Ken Rosenthal was saying earlier today that they're not really like thrilled with anybody. And so if that's the case, like I said, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying, Rob. I know that you don't want to hear it. Mets fans don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it because that means we're not going to be a competitive team really in 2026 and maybe even 2027 because we got to wait for these prospects to come up. But like you said, I think you're starting to realize the writing on the wall maybe in what's happening here. And I hope I'm wrong. One major move means that we're wrong. He's gutting the team.
Okay, why do they sign Juan Soto then if this was going to be the plan all along?
No one knows. No one knows because they thought that the core that they had was going to win, and they showed that they were major losers in 2025.
Here's the problem: Steve Cohen stepped in, wanted Pete Alonso back because the fans cried wolf, and he wanted Juan Soto just to get one up on the Yankees. That's what it was. And David Stearns was on the back burner because when he actually got the opportunity to bring in players, it was a fucking disaster. And he's doing the same thing now. Like, why are we like? If we're in rebuild mode, do it. But get rid of everybody. But don't say, oh, we're in on everybody. Bullshit, you are. You're not in on everybody when you offer 3 years to Schwarber and he gets 5. I'm sorry. You're not in. All right? That's just an offer to say, hey, look what we did. I'm sorry, it is. And it's going to be the same thing for Pete Alonso. It's going to be the same thing for probably Ranger Suarez, or, we'll get Michael Kim because, you got to get somebody just to save face. But again, it just, none of it makes sense. The plan from last offseason until now, either the plan was just ripped up and says, all right, we got to change something here, or this was the plan all along. Now, if this is going to be a quote-unquote rebuild, then if Lindor can't get traded, you're going to have him in his last few years of prime, not on a winning team. You're going to have Juan Soto, who does have an opt-out, by the way, who's probably not going to just play and be pissed off the next couple of years while you rebuild and hope the prospects pan out. And now he's very close to opting out, and maybe the Mets will be good. Yeah, that's a bad plan. That is a bad plan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Pentrice is saying here, and you already said this earlier in the stream too, Rob, if I'm not mistaken. 2024, it's kind of like the Giants in 2022 when they were forced to give Daniel Jones that extension, right? I mean, then they were forced to go ahead and keep Pete Alonso. They overachieved, and the fans wanted Pete Alonso. It did more harm than good, unfortunately, even though it was a fun season. We were, on these streams talking about the NLCS, etc. I really do think that they just want to say, there's no way Soto's opting out of his deal. I'm sorry. There's no way. He's not. $51 million until he's what, 39, 40? He's not getting down the open market if he goes and opts out at age 30. He's not getting anywhere close to that. There's no way he opts out.
No, but you know what? I think he's that type of guy that I know it's a lot of money, but I feel like if he's that pissed off, like he has no loyalty to anybody. And I think that if he wants to get the hell out of there, he might probably not.
He's already won. He's already won a World Series. He's already won. He's won one.
Did the interviews, the thing start yet? Because
I don't know. I can't find it. Anyways, I don't think he's opting out, but I think they want to make it his team. I really do. And I think that's why they're gutting this team to make him the forefront sooner rather than later.
And maybe that might be the best thing. The year, I know he was a rookie, but when he won the World Series, right? The Nationals made him the poster child.
Yeah, he was him.
Best way. I'm not going to say yes or no.
I mean, they had Rendon, but yeah.
Yeah, true. But everybody knew it was kind of going to be Soto's team. Like it seemed like that's what they were trying to head for, and maybe that's the idea.
Let's watch the Stearns presser.
All right.
Can you play it out loud?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it actually.
All right. I'm gonna mute. I think it's on SNY on the YouTube, right?
Oh, it is on YouTube. Okay, hold on 1 second.
I'm pretty sure.
Sorry. Guys.
Anyways, I'm gonna mute myself. So.
All right. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. All right, guys. So. Okay, hold on. Where is it? Hold on, guys. I'm trying to find it. I don't know where the hell it is. Does anybody see it? Because I don't see it.
Oh, it's not on YouTube. I don't know where it is then.
I'm trying to find it on SNY.
Let us know where it is.
Yeah, please, because I'm trying to play it for everybody that can't actually play it. I'm looking on SNY Mets. I don't see it. I don't even see it. Am I missing something here?
I don't think it started because I'm not seeing it either.
Okay, then I thought I was going crazy for a second.
I thought it should have been on the their YouTube.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
I can't believe this Starling Marte thing, man. Oh my goodness.
Well, it's Soto's team, right? I guess he gets what he wants.
I guess so.
It's crazy.
The most impactful bat we'll get on the offseason market.
What a sad moment. It's sad.
SNY, it's on SNY. Okay.
On SNY shit. I'm not gonna be able to get SNY from here.
I'm not either.
Why would they not play it anywhere?
They usually live stream it on their YouTube as well.
Yeah,
that's so stupid.
I don't get it.
Well, anyways,
anybody to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
All
crazy.
Right,
so I guess we'll just have to look for the snippets of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we didn't resign. We didn't sign Marte yet, but they're interested, and we thought that could have been a possibility considering with Soto and Marte being close, and they were basically hanging out this whole offseason at like Bad Bunny concerts. So it's like it is on YouTube. Dre said, "Okay, well,
I can't see it. I can't find it
because I don't see it."
Yeah. Oh, maybe it's on like MLB
Network, maybe?
MLB Network, I think.
All right, hold on, guys. I'm going to try to find... Oh, wait, hold on. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Chris, just talk for 1 second. I'm going to try to see if I can find it on MLB Network.
Yeah, it's not on MLB. It's not on anywhere, man. I don't know. Where are you guys seeing it on YouTube? This is disgraceful.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Live.
Where'd you see it?
No, it's not here. It's not here.
SNY YouTube channel. I keep on looking.
Someone put the link in the chat.
Yeah, that would be helpful, please. I don't see it at all. I see your stream.
Yeah. Unless we got the time wrong, because I thought it was 6:30.
I thought it was 6:30 too.
It might just be on cable then.
Yeah.
Or on TV.
Yeah, I don't see it. I only see the conference from a day ago. That's all I see. Yeah, I don't see it, guys. I don't know what somebody's watching, but let me
I
see.
know. I don't.
Mets hot stove. Maybe I can find it here. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't see it.
I don't see it either. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to
And the Mets got the 27 pick in the draft. Wonderful.
joy. Oh joy.
Don't worry. Hey, we can expect that play to be here at 2032, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, I think it's only on TV, Rob. It's only on TV.
All right,
Usually
so
they
that's
do
how
it on YouTube as well, but I guess they would have to monitor that chat really
just, just
well.
just so everybody knows, we don't live in New York, so we're not going to get the SNY feed.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I mean, you could get the app, but I don't feel like paying for it out of
I heard
season.
the app is garbage too.
It's terrible. I know a lot of people tell me the same thing. Yeah, we don't see the link. Sorry, guys. We apologize for that. Again, we don't live in a tri-state, so uh, it. I don't know who's seeing it out of state unless you got a VPN and changing your location where you can get SNY like that. But I don't have it unfortunately. But yeah, Chris. So like I mean, I'm hoping David Stearns realize like he clearly don't care about the backlash. I mean, it started with Brandon Nimmo. He don't care about the backlash. So, I guess that's a good thing, right? He's not using his emotion to do his job, and that's not the worst idea. But what if it's a down season next year? Like, what do you do? Like, like, do you hope Sproke shows up and Tong shows up and they figure it out? And now you got a 1, 2, 3 in those guys. Like, if that's what you're expecting, that's a lot of hope. And that includes Jet Williams. Because I mean, if you're not gonna spend big or make big trades, then your prospects, you're not trading them. So you're gonna hope these guys pan out. Because that's the only way you're gonna be able to hopefully win.
Oh, Telly's saying I'm watching it. He said a lot of discussions are going on. Well, we'll see if that materializes.
Well, we know they're lowballing everybody. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you're going to put your faith in these prospects, I've already mentioned that that is a ridiculously bold move to make, especially with most of these prospects not being up or even close to being ready to come up, right? You have this wave of prospects in Spro and Tong and McLean who are on the verge of being ready. You have the next wave being, Clifford, Jet Williams, etc. And then you have the third wave of like Reimer, AJ Ewing, and whoever else. And it's just like I just can't see. First of all, you can't have all these guys at the major league level anyways, right? With these positions. So
No.
you're gonna have to find something to do with them regardless. And that's why I just cannot I'm not saying I believe in it, but I just can't fathom how the Mets don't make a major move via trade to offload some of these prospects that will be in a logjam at the end of the day. But even
Like they
second
were
of
last
all,
year.
right, and even second of all, and you also have MLB talent that we have no idea how they're going to perform in 2026, right? Everyone's saying Brett Beatty's the future of third base after a pretty good 2025, but like not a super stellar 2025. Like that's still a question mark. Let's be real. We don't know how Mark Vientos is going to bounce back. We don't know Ronnie Mauricio and what he's going to do, even though he has potential there. We all know it with the power, whatever. We have no idea what Ronnie Mauricio is going to become. So it's just a lot of what ifs, and that is the major problem. And not only that, we have already talked about it. Might be a little bit repetitive, but the timeline of it. How long did it take Brett Beatty to have an average to good season? How long? Multiple years. And that could probably be the same thing in the same case for Jonah Tong before he finally, develops
Yeah.
that competent fourth pitch and really hones in on his craft and is able to utilize that at the major league level. So these prospects, a lot of people are like, Jet Williams, number 30 in the MLB pipeline. He's going to be awesome as soon as he steps foot into Queens. That's a pipe dream, really, quite frankly, to be very respectful. These guys are not just going to step foot on the field and produce for you right away. Carson Bench, there's going to be adjustment periods for Carson Bench. There's a large gap between AAA and the major leagues, as we all know. So it's it's one of those things where I hope in the back of my mind, and this is just what it is, it's a hope and a prayer that David Stearns, behind all the BS skirting around these answers that he's giving to the media and on these press conferences that clearly we're not able to watch because we don't live in the New York area, I hope that he has something up his sleeve. I hope he has a major trade up his sleeve. Padres are going to be shopping Fernando Tatis Jr. Scooble's going to be getting shopped. The Brewers are open for business. There's big moves to be had. Is David Stearns going to be as scared as spending prospect capital as he clearly is, giving long-term deals out to players that he wants to stop at 3 years for? So, you know what I mean? That's the bottom line.
He still hasn't done it, right? This is 2 years now. He still hasn't done that move, that big move with prospects. He still hasn't done it. And that is why until he does, I don't have no faith in him because I'm sorry. You got to have a mixture. If you're trying to win, and again, he's not saying that they're not trying to win. Like, if you're rebuilding, rebuild. If you're retooling, say it like you did in 2024. You said, we're going to retool. That's what he said, right? Transition period. He said that. So people didn't like it, but they understood it because that's what he said. So we were expecting it. Here, he's saying we're in on this guy, we're in on that guy, but you're not all in on anybody. And that was what I think it was Ken Rosenthal also said, that they're not really in on anybody, like very much. So it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're half-assed. Oh, here we go again, Chris. We're half-assing. It's a beautiful word.
A lot of people talking about the Padres and Manny Machado. Manny Machado and Soto had problems in that clubhouse. It was already reported in San Diego. So if you're going to be trading for any bat of the Padres, it's going to be Tatis. And that's even still a long shot. Although imagine how nice that would be. A lineup of Lindor, Tatis, and Juan Soto. I mean, you'd probably be kissing Pete Alonso goodbye, but would anybody care? I don't know. That's actually curious. I've seen this Fernando Tatis and these rumors time and time again. But AJ Preller's going to want a haul for that guy. Yeah, you could probably package one of their relievers too, right? If it came down to it. I'm not sure if they're going to give away Miller, though. I think they've already said that they are going to keep Miller. I don't know. I think that's a long shot. I think that we both agree, especially from the offensive standpoint, trading for talent like that is more of a long shot than acquiring it through free agency. I mean, really, same thing could be said for the pitching too.
It should be easier.
It should be easier. Correct.
But again, like we've been saying this for how many hot stoves? You can't have it both ways. You can't spend big on certain guys. I'm not saying 5 guys, but 1 or 2 isn't going to be the end of the world. And you also can't trade prospects for big talent. If you don't do either, what are you doing? Like, you go again. You're going to be in the B and C level, maybe even C, D level, a level of free agent trade possibilities that aren't very good. I'm sorry. People that are taking 3-year deals either had a bad season. Oh, by the way, Devin Williams, and guys like that are reclamation projects that haven't been good in years. That is
not Edwin Diaz, though.
Understandable. That's why that deal is so weird. Like, nobody was talking 3 years at all. Like, any report, everybody was expecting 4, possibly 5. We know he was looking for 5. And, even we scratched our heads like, 5, okay, great. We want Diaz. 4 years was like, all right, that's probably the golden goose of what you could expect. So that was weird. I don't know why that transpired that way. And, maybe the Dodgers and the Mets know something that we don't know about Diaz, right? Who knows? He is coming off an injury 2 years ago. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe is some type of analytical or some type of technology that's saying that Diaz is going to digress, and that was why nobody went more than 3 years. I don't know. Again, we'll probably never know. But it is weird how it transpired that when the Dodgers signed, I think we could all agree, right? You were live. I was watching you while I was at work, and I was trying to get home, and I'm thinking to myself, well, we didn't know the deal yet, and I think we all thought it's got to be 4 or 5 years. Because then you can understand, all right, I don't think the Mets were going to do it. Because then the 4th to 5th year was going to get to the 80-plus range and the 100 range for the 5th year. then we could have had we probably would have both agreed. It was like, yeah, I don't think the Mets were going to go do that. And it was just a weird situation with the Diaz thing. Like you don't see great, like even Kyle Schwarber, a prominent DH. That's what he is. Gets 5 years, $150 million. Like that's a ton of money for a DH. I mean, he's productive as hell, but he is only a DH. That back goes, you got a lug on your roster, a freaking, a big log on your roster that ain't doing anything. With Simeon, I know that's a whole different story, but he's going to be a good defender if his bat doesn't play. Schwarber's back goes, you're in trouble. So, like, I don't know. I'm sorry. Dola, I'm sorry. I had your super chat up, and I was just, ranting like I always do. Do you guys think that Stearns knew ahead that he wasn't going to re-sign Diaz? That's why he got Devin Williams. I don't know if the Diaz situation even like got to the point of offers. Like, we don't know when the Mets offered Diaz that initial contract. It could have been 2 weeks ago, right? We don't know. And, I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
No, I mean, this is all we have to go off of is reports, and everyone was saying that they're going to make a very big effort to sign Diaz. And as we just went over in the first 15 minutes of this live stream, they were prepared to go higher than what they had originally offered for Diaz if he came back with something that was more than what they offered him. And he didn't let them do it. And so I don't think that David Stearns had this, like, and Martino also confirmed this, saying there was no line drawn in the sand between the Mets and Diaz saying this is our final offer. It never got to that stage. Like, this is not our best and final offer. And so they were willing to continue to work with him to get this deal done. And so I don't think, personally speaking, with what we know and what's public right now, that Stearns knew ahead he wasn't going to re-sign Diaz as soon as Devin Williams got here. I think that the plan was all along was for Diaz and to Williams to be the pair. And if that wasn't the case, now we don't know. Now the next question is, do they pivot, or are they just content with Williams? And is Stearns and what he's saying true to the media right now, and they're not going to make a big effort for Robert Suarez, who apparently they are one of the favorites among, with the Blue Jays to sign. But Robert Suarez is a 3-year deal waiting to happen. So if you let Robert Suarez go, then I don't understand it. Unless the Blue Jays come out and offer him something egregious like they did with Dylan Cease and overpay again just to get him in the door, then I can't see making an effort or not making an effort for a guy like Robert Suarez. And that's where that will piss me off extra on top of that.
Come over to the dark side, Chris. Come on.
Dude, listen, man. I'm mad. I know that it doesn't seem like it. A lot of people want to say that, I'm defending Stearns here. I'm not if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm not defending David Stearns. I'm clearly telling you that I have no idea what his plan is, and I don't think that his plan is solid to rely on these prospects, especially after you re-sign or you sign Juan Soto to that deal. Like, that's not a solid plan. But unfortunately, I think that's just what's happening and right in front of our very eyes. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I was watching you. I was listening to you when you went live when the breaking news happened, and a lot of people in the chat were with you as well. Like, you were generally upset. Like, you were pissed off. Like, you were. And
I'm still mad.
I know, but you started to. Obviously, we got into it back and forth when we were texting each other early, before the stream. We were going back and forth like we didn't agree. And I understand both sides. Like, I understand my side and I understand your side. Like, no matter who is to blame, Diaz is a Los Angeles Dodger. That's the bigger problem. This is the team you're supposed to try to beat. And this is the thing, and this is the other thing too that I don't like about David Stearns, is that he would rather not give another year or give more money and let the guy go to a rival, a team that you're going to compete against. That annoys the hell out of me, right? Why did the Yankees give Fried that 8th year? Because he would have went to the Red Sox. That's why they did it. Yes, they kind of was probably, biting on their hand, like, God damn, I don't want to give that 8th year. But would you rather have him and deal with that 8th year, or have him pitch for the Red Sox against you? that is kind of. I mean, obviously the Dodgers are not in our division, but you play him 6 times, possibly 7, and you might see him in the playoffs. Like, who's going to feel more confident? Devin Williams in the ninth inning in a playoff game or Edwin Diaz? How we feel?
Me? Like, who's going to make me more? Of course, Edwin Diaz for sure.
Correct. All right. So that is what we're that is where I don't understand the logic of, oh, I'm only going to go this much and not really go more. I could go more, but leaving it like we don't know the conversation that Diaz had with the Mets. Like he probably heard that offer and they say, yeah, there might be room for more. Or there is room for more. I don't know. Maybe he didn't like that conversation with David Stearns and it pissed him off. And that's why he took the Dodgers deal. Like, we don't know that. We're probably never going to know that. And nor should we, by the way, because that is internal, executive player back and forth. And that is something that is kind of sacred. Like, you don't talk about that stuff, at least until if the reporters find out. So I don't know. Like, I want to actually, since we're talking about, relievers and what the Mets are going to do, you did a video about Trevor McGill.
Yeah, I did.
That is interesting because that you can package Peralta and McGill. Now, again, I don't know what the hell we don't know the plan of David Stearns with these prospects, but we sure have a hell of enough guys to make that type of trade. Now, if you do a Peralta McGill trade, you kind of look, that's our 8th and 9th, and you also get a starter that's an ace. Now there's a plan. Now there's a foreseeable plan to what they're trying to do this offseason. Now, at the end of the day, you got a rental in Peralta, but you could do a lot worse. But the concern is, are they going to do that? Like, I didn't catch your video. I know you put it up there. I didn't watch it yet because I usually, watch it while I'm trying to fall asleep and go to bed. But I usually watch it because,
Are you saying I'm boring, Rob?
No, I support my guy.
I'm kidding.
Guy. Like if I don't get it while I'm laying down in bed, I'll listen to it at work.
No, I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? So like I didn't get to listen to it because I was trying to put everything together for the streams. But yeah, like I don't know your reaction towards it. Do you believe it? The Mets seem like they're in on everybody. Partially, mostly. What are your thoughts?
I would love to believe it, and I would do that package in a heartbeat. Yep. I just can't fathom from the Brewers' perspective why they would let McGill go in this deal. Like, why would they not? Like, why wouldn't they just trade Peralta straight up rather than? The only thing I can think of maybe is you would entice other teams to actually give up what you want for the value that you set Freddie Peralta at, because apparently it's like astronomically high of what they're valuing him at and what they want in return. So you kind of sweeten the pot there. But like Trevor McGill is not a guy that you just throw in. You just don't throw that kind of talent in there. So I don't think it's going to happen. I can't buy it because Milwaukee's a win now team with what they just did last year. Let's be real. They always find
ways to win no matter who they plug in. Like that's the good part about it. Like with them.
And who's their other reliever? Uribe, I think his name is. Who's also just super talented. It's a nice 8-9 punch. I forgot his name. He's really talented too.
I wanted to ask you.
Abner Uribe. They have him still to close games if they do let go of McGill. But McGill has 2 years of control left, Rob.
Here's the thing. Maybe they're not getting what they thought they would get for Peralta because he's a rental.
That's plausible too.
Because I don't think Peralta is going to get traded until Skubal gets traded or doesn't get traded, and they kind of get clarity on that front. Because maybe they're just not – they thought they would get a good amount for Freddie Peralta, and maybe they're getting not what they thought they were going to get. And they said, okay, well, if that's not going to be the case, we'll get more if we throw McGill in the deal because he has 2 years of control. That's the only thing I can think of because there's no other logical explanation. But the Brewers do weird things. And, they get rid of Corbin Burns like it was nothing. And they have best record in baseball, 2 years later. Like, it's crazy. It makes no sense. But it works with them. Like, no matter who they plug and play, it works. Like, they traded Devin Williams, and then Durbin was a big part of their success this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't know how they do it, but it works.
Well, I mean, maybe they are confident enough in trying to replace McGill that they are willing to throw him in a deal just to get rid of Peralta because they know they're not giving him the extension. And they know that a team like the Mets has the pitching talent that can be MLB ready in 2026 to just slot right into their rotation behind a guy like Woodruff. You're talking about Brandon Sproat, and unfortunately, you're also talking about Jonah Tong. So there's going to have this whole conversation again. Are you willing to let go of Jonah Tong in a package deal that includes Peralta and McGill, right? And so the prospect huggers, if you are one of them and you are also complaining about the state of this team, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to, figure something out because it's clear David Stearns is not spending on these free agents. So I would do it. That solves 2 holes immediately for the New York Mets. It's just that, I think that in order to get that deal done, you are banking on being out on the Scooble sweepstakes, like we've mentioned in previous streams. And so that also leaves the door wide open for the Dodgers to go out there and trade for Scooble. And if that happens, I may not even watch a single game of this upcoming MLB season. I'm not even lying. Not even lying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's weird though, because something happened. Oh no, I'm sorry, guys. No, I'm sorry. Somebody just texted me something about something. I'm sorry. I saw it pop up. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened now? The Mets screwed up again? Yeah. I'm kind of speechless.
You know what? Devin Williams just said, this is how much the Mets really thought that Diaz was coming back, and he just snaked them, right? Devin Williams on Diaz's departure. If I was a betting man, I thought he was going to be a Met. They all thought he was coming back. Everybody thought he was coming back. At least coming back to get that final offer and that matching offer. And he never did, which is why the live chat that I have right now, and I'm asking people, who are you more mad at, David Stearns or Edwin Diaz? I'm not, you can be mad at David Stearns all you want. Let's not make excuses for Edwin Diaz here either. He snaked the New York Mets. And if that doesn't piss you off, then I don't know what to tell you, because I'm pissed off with Edwin Diaz. I really am. That's like a KD equivalent move of going and joining the Warriors, dude. It really is.
I feel like that. Yeah. That's true. But you know what, though? At some point, not with David Stearns. Oh, look. Hold on a second, guys. David Stearns on MLB Network. You want to listen up to it? Or
toss it on. Why not?
All right.
It looked a lot like the
listen up, guys.
Who was the best, if not one of the best.
Can you guys hear it?
Relievers in all baseball. So we're thrilled to be able to bring him in. We know he's the type of guy who can go get you the last 3 outs of the game. He's proven that. He's proven that in big spots, in pressure situations. And so we're excited to bring him in. I think for us, it was great to see a guy who went through the ups and downs of New York and was really excited to come back to New York. And that was exciting for us to see, and we're thrilled that we were able to bring him in.
You've already made a big trade earlier on, getting rid of a fan favorite in Brandon Nimmo. But I want to talk about the guy you got in Marcus Semien. Why was he so intriguing to you, and what are you looking forward to having him in 2026?
A couple of things about Marcus. The first is he's one of the best defensive infielders in our game. He's still one of the best defensive infielders in our game. We got to plug him into a position where at times last year defensively we weren't as good as we needed to be. The second is we still think there's more in there offensively. We think there's some things that he's working on, that he continues to work on, can get closer to who he was just a couple of years ago, where he was one of the best all-around players in the game. And then finally, we're bringing in someone to our team who cares a tremendous amount about winning, who knows how to work, and we think adding that type of winning presence to our clubhouse can only be a positive.
Let me dive into that a little bit more in terms of Marcus offensively and what you saw there, because aging curves for mid-30s middle infielders, not great. Why do you make this bet that he can get back to that all-star level?
Yeah, I think as we can evaluate hitters now, there's so much information about how their swing is working, and the granular information about what they're doing with their swing now that maybe was a little bit differently than they were doing a couple of years ago. And look, that requires work and it requires change, but I think Marcus is very invested in doing everything he can to get back to the level where he was an MVP candidate. Yes, aging curves eventually catch up to everyone. We know that. But I also think there's more in there that maybe we've seen from Marcus the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's a good player, right? And all around the game, it's a good dude, it's a winning player. But that's a gutsy trade, right? Why? Why Nimmo for Semien?
Yeah, I think it's for some of the reasons we just talked about. It allowed us to improve defensively at an area we needed to improve defensively. Allowed us to acquire a player we're excited about acquiring. And then we also have a lot of outfielders coming in our system behind Brandon Nimmo, and this allows us to free up some space for them. And so when we talk about guys like Carson Bedge, when we talk about guys like Ryan Clifford, Jet Williams, A.J. Ewing, some really talented players who are right on the doorstep of the major leagues, to be able to open up some space in the outfield over the next 5 years, we thought was important. This is one way to do it.
I want to just get, in case we just jump in. You're a Met fan, right? So you understand the Met fan base. So now Nimmo is traded, again, homegrown guy, great attitude. Pete Alonso is still out there. What is your mindset? How dispassionate can you be, or not dispassionate can you be about fan favorites in the Met fan base?
Yeah, so I think fan favorites, what players mean to our fans, what players mean to the organization, has to be part of our decision-making process. It cannot be the exclusive part of our decision-making process, but it has to be part of it. And I absolutely understand our fans are going to get attached to players who have performed in big markets.
That's the point.
That is the point. I also think we have a lot of really good players coming who our fans are also going to get attached to. I think our fans ultimately get attached to winning, and it's our job to put the best product on the field we possibly can. And that's what we're aiming to do.
Well, when I look at that rotation coming up, and so many good young pitchers that came up at the end there, but Nolan McLean really stuck out. I mean, just really efficient in the zone. Felt like his confidence was at a level that he could pitch up here. What did you see from him? And did you expect him to come up and dominate the way he did?
I think we saw incredible poise.
Yeah.
And that was the most notable thing we saw. We knew he had the stuff. And I think the league knows he has the stuff. To see someone come up in a pennant race in New York with that level of poise, he was basically pitching at the front of our rotation at the moment we called him up and did an outstanding job. So the ceiling for him is incredibly high. It's very exciting where he is in his career, and to see him hopefully for a full season at the major league level now, I think he's going to continue to open a lot of eyes.
Where specifically do you think the Mets
That rotation
have to be better
sucks.
in 26 than they were in 25? Off the top of my head, I think on the run prevention side, marrying the pitching and the defense, playing up there. As the president of baseball ops, where do you want to see the most improvement?
Yeah, I think you hit it. I do think it's on that side of the ball. I think as I've reflected a lot on our season, we had a talented team that over the last 2 months of the year, we frankly did a lot of things to help us lose baseball games. And we've got to clean that up. And part of that is personnel. And we're working on that throughout this offseason to put together a team that is both talented and then does the little things well to help win games.
Now, I know you have to concentrate on what you're doing, so I know that. But you are in your own hedge fund league. How aware are you of what the Dodgers are doing on a week-to-week basis?
Look, I think if we remain focused on how to build the best version of the Mets both this year and going forward so that we can compete at the highest level possible, we are going to be just fine. We understand there are other really well-run organizations out there. The Dodgers, probably chief among them right now. But if we get caught trying to chase them or react to every little thing they're doing, that's going to be a disservice to
How
us.
about big things they do? Right? I mean, that's right. You go, but the big things you have to be aware of, and you're playing at that same level. How aware are you of they just got another big-time guy?
We know they're really good, and they've proven over the last decade in baseball now that they are at the top of our industry. And so our goal is to ultimately supplant them up there. And I think the best way for us to do that is to focus on each and every decision. What is the best decision for the New York Mets, rather than trying to react to maybe what some of our competitors are doing.
Well, look, for a long time, we just had Eric Neander up here, and throughout the industry, it was when a trade was made, either by you with the Brewers or Eric Neander with the Rays, you're like, uh-oh, what do they see in that guy? So there is something about the industry of saying, what are they up to? Because they're leading the industry.
Sure. I think we're always curious about what our competitors are doing. Mm-hmm. And you do try to learn from your competitors a little bit. You try to understand if someone is seeing something a little bit differently than you're seeing it. Absolutely. I think there's a difference between doing that and then becoming reactionary based on what one or two teams are doing ahead of you.
I'm just wondering, Case, does he have a Dodger dartboard that he's
You're just peppering me with questions, and I think he's, saying that you got to focus on the Mets process, and stay in their lane.
He should be completely obsessed, like chasing down and hunting the Dodgers.
Got today.
Break the Dodgers. Come on, he thinks that way. He thinks that way. You can't tell us, but he thinks that way. What do you think?
Oh,
yeah, he does. David, good luck in the offseason.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys. So
it was a whole bunch of nothing, and the biggest thing that I took from it, Rob, my initial reaction is that they're opening up room, and they have opened up room by trading Brandon Nimmo for Jet Williams and Carson Bench to compete in left field. You're not getting Tatis, you're not getting Kyle Tucker, you're not getting Cody Bellinger, you're not getting any big name left fielder on this market unless he's just lying to Brian Kenny and that whole panel, and that's fine. He definitely can be doing that, but I think that this guy loves this farm system. He is looking at all of these prospect gurus on social media and getting all these positive updates and eating his popcorn, and Jet Williams is the next best thing since sliced bread. I like Carson Bench a lot personally, but again, relying on prospects when you just signed Juan Soto, that is a flawed way of going about trying to beat the Dodgers. And Brian Kenny is absolutely correct. I don't like Brian Kenny because I think that he is kind of, just the way that he talks is kind of annoying to me, but he is, and he did a great job pressing David Stearns there. You can be worried about what the Mets are doing and build a competent future plan for yourself and think about the next 5 years. That is fine. But you also have to be concerned about winning now if you are, and if you've already made the investment in certain players to do so. So, I don't know, man. If you're relying on this young rotation and the guys that are coming up and already are up, and also Carson Bench and Jet Williams, by the way, Jet Williams, this guy did not come up playing the outfield. This is a new position for him that he's still trying to learn, and that's hard to do at the major league level as it is. I don't like that, man. I don't like that. I would have rather got a solidified left fielder, and I would have had Carson Bench playing with Tyrone Taylor and learning the ropes of center field from Tyrone Taylor, one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. That's what I would have done. And I don't think that, with what I just heard, I don't think that's the case, and that's not going to be the case. So
yeah, I think we're all okay with Carson Bench playing an outfield position, but you have to supplement it with a proven bat, just as a backup plan. You can't lose Pete Alonso, not bring in Bellinger or Tucker, and say Carson Bench, Jet Williams, or Ryan Clifford are going to be a left field and center fielder. Like that. I mean, look, they could be great, and it's a whole different ball game. But you're not going to know that. Like that sounds like a guy who doesn't want to win right now. Like he'd rather lose games and manipulate his roster to whatever he wants and hope for these guys to turn out. Because here's the problem. If they don't turn out in like the next 2 years, are you going to have the same problem you have now with Vientos, Beatty, Mauricio Acuna, who kind of failed for the most part, and you're still waiting for some of these guys to show up, and you got a logjam once again, because all this is creating is a logjam. Okay, you might trade McNeil for a bad bullpen arm. You might trade Kodai Senga to maybe shed a little bit more money. I don't know. But I don't know. It's not a winning mentality. And this is the problem. Like, he acts like the Mets just won a World Series and we got to revamp. The guy's getting older. You understand that if that's the case. But you're not doing anything that sounds like a viable plan for now. I don't care about 2027, 2028, 2029. I know as a GM or president of baseball ops, you got to worry about that. But you could still put a damn good team. You think the Dodgers are not caring about their future? Of course they are. Of course they are. But they're making sure they win now. Like I don't know, man. I mean, the Mets right now are the laughing stock of the all season right now. They really are. Like David Stearns is walking in through that hotel, and they're talking about him behind his back. Like that's how bad this is right now. Like there is no sugarcoating this at all. This is bad. This is a guy who got on multiple SNY and MLB Network nationally and is talking about young guys replacing guys that were proven guys. That you didn't really have to trade Nimmo, but you did because we thought there was an ulterior motive, a plan after that. The plan nobody thought that the plan was going to be mostly prospects when Nimmo got traded and Devin Williams signed. Nobody thought. So what is this going to be? Carson Benz, Jet Williams, and the Dylan Ross offseason? Is that going to be the case? That's how we're going to fill our roster out? And, throw in Marte for kicks and giggles? And maybe sign Michael King? Because that's probably the only guy we're probably going to get. Chris, I mean, this is scary. This is scary, man. Like, if you're Juan Soto right now, yeah, you might be happy when you see your account and, the check clears and like, oh, that's nice. But as a competitor, he's got to be pissed. Like, this is Juan Soto's team now. Him and Lindor. How are these guys happy? Like, if you're Lindor or Soto, or at least Lindor, because Lindor is not afraid to have a conversation or talk. Lindor has to make a call to this guy. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not saying that Lindor was big friends or good friends with Brandon Nimmo. I think there was kind of a shaky, maybe acquaintances, nothing, let's go out and hang out. And we know the thing with McNeil. But if you're Lindor and you're supposed to be, quote unquote, the leader of this team along with Soto at this point now, aren't you questioning your executive, the guy who's running things? Like, Lindor can't be happy. He's 2 years away from out of his prime as well. Like, he wants to win as well. Like, if Lindor says, hey, listen, what are you doing here? Because if you're trying to, looking like you're trying to retool and use all these prospects, I'm not sticking around. Like, I'll waive my no trade clause. And maybe that's what Stearns is trying to do.
I told you before. I said, if he had a choice, I'm sure David Stearns would deal Lindor too. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. So I don't know, man. I got nothing really else to say about it. I think that we've covered it. I think that we both just can't see where this plan is going with David Stearns, or at least we don't want to accept it, right? We don't want to accept having to think about these prospects coming up. Like, in another world where prospects are coming up on an already established team and you need like one position to fill and a prospect's coming up, like, that's fine. We're talking about offensive because pitching is whatever. That's a different story at this point with what the Mets have. But this is not exciting. This is not exciting. And it's not exciting because we're supposed, like, if the Juan Soto deal never happens, I'm okay with this process.
Correct. 100%.
I'm okay with this process. But the Soto deal happened. That's a big sticking point. And that's a big...
It changed the trajectory of what...
It changed what the Mets front office and owner, whoever was the one that made the deal, it changed what they told us directly but indirectly as fans of what and how serious they were about building a winning roster. Because right now what it seems like is that they told us and they kind of teased us a little bit that we got Juan Soto, we're going for it, we're competing with the Dodgers. But wait, one failed season, we're shaking up the core. And oh, by the way, that's fine, we'll shake up the core, but we're also not replacing them with MLB-ready talent. We're replacing them with prospects that you don't know how they're going to perform. So I think that's where we're heading. That's where we're heading unless we see a major move. I'm not expecting one at this point. If there is one, we will certainly talk about it. I will do the same orders of business of coming on here on the live, propping something up on YouTube and talking about it. And I would love to see something big happen. I just think that David Stearns has shown us he is content. I think he's going to go out there and get like a Jake Myers type, right? Something that is not going to move the needle whatsoever. He's going to bring back Starling Marte because Juan Soto wants Marte back on this team. And that's what we're gonna be going and riding into. Oh, we might get a Michael King. We might get a Michael King. And that's fine because I've told you all I like Michael King, but like I don't like Michael King as the standalone. I like Michael King with a move of Peralta or going big with a guy like Skubal. I like that version of a rotation with Michael King's name in it, not Michael King alongside Nolan McLean. That's your top two. There's a difference here.
It feels like the Sean Manaea situation like last year. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Sean Manaea, a big move, and that was it. Like, and then it was a bunch
Griffin
of
Canning, yeah.
I agree with Patrick here. I'm going to put the comment. The entire fan base is being gaslit in real time. It feels just like that. It really does. Like, because only a couple of weeks ago when David Stearns was talking, it seemed like he was really in on doing big moves. Like he was saying, "Oh yeah, we're really focused on." Because remember, one of the first hot souls he did on SNY, they had a conversation. They spoke to him in an interview, and he said that we're looking at the top of the market for starting pitching. We're looking at the top of the market for outfield after the Brandon Nimmo trade when he spoke. So he said that. So what changed from 2.5 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago to now after the Nimmo trade? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, he's talking two totally different, like, plans. One was top of the market for outfield and pitching. Now you're talking about prospects and nothing else. That's his whole conversation right now in that last interview. Like,
Yeah.
how does the plan change in 2 weeks? That's what I don't understand.
I just saw someone put the Joker meme on Pat Ragazzo's tweet saying that they're interested in bringing back Marte. That's kind of like where we're at right now. It's like the Joker just like hysterically laughing, like we're all gonna lose it, man. Yeah, that's the state of being a Mets fan right now. That's funny. I mean, all you can do is really laugh at this point. I mean, I hate to say it, we devote so much time talking about this team. We love this team as much as the next person, but it's frustrating, and that's really it. So I say we get some rest, regroup. If anything comes on, we'll talk about it, and then if not, tomorrow's last day of the winter meetings, Rob. So
Thank God. Like, I need a break from this lack of movement from the Mets. So, Chris, are you any last words before we cut this stream?
I don't have any final words. I think we've said a lot already. It's not quite the 2 hours that we took the time out for yesterday, because I think yesterday when we were doing the stream, we were holding out hope that something bigger was going to happen for the New York Mets, like an Edwin Diaz re-signing, etc. I guess now we just wait and see. I am fully under the impression of Pete Alonso leaving this organization. I released a video a little bit ago, I think an hour before we went live on this stream, talking about, what Feinsand was saying about the Mets not wanting to go past 3 years for Pete Alonso, fully expect him to leave. That's about it. And we'll see. We'll see what the magnitude of moves from David Stearns is going to be, and that will give us an indication of how much he's going to utilize these prospects in 2020, 6 and beyond. And like I said, I'm all for prospects. Like, I'm not going to diminish any of these prospects. They can pan out. They cannot pan out. But I think it's pretty ridiculous to rely on all these prospects. It should be a blend. And right now, as it currently stands, the New York Mets have gotten worse on paper. I think we can all be objective about that. The Mets have gotten worse by trading Semien for Brandon Nimmo and by basically swapping at this point, until further notice, Devin Williams for Edwin Diaz. On paper, we are worse than where we were at 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I will bring you all the latest news. I can still see a deal for like a Eugenio Suarez type happening. I really can see that. If David Stearns is just going to toss out these 2 to 3 year deals, people won't like it. I would like it if it's alongside another big bat. If it's a standalone, if that's the big move and bringing back Marte is all you're going to do, I could care less. I don't think we even need a Eugenio Suarez at that point. That would just kind of be like, what you say is just kind of saving face and just saying, oh, well, we did something.
Yep.
And so, if you're going to commit to a plan, don't half-ass it. You know what I mean?
I've been saying it for 2 years.
If you're going to commit to this plan of the prospects and telling us that Tong, McLean, Sproat is going to be here, Scuball might be available, you're not even going to attempt to do it because you believe in these 3 guys to be a top 3 duo in 3 years' time. If you believe that Benj is going to be fantastic and Jet Williams is going to be a starter alongside Benj and these other guys around the diamond like Brett Beatty is going to be here for the long haul, you commit to that, David Stearns. You put your I would like to say money, but there's no money involved there. You put your prospect belief where your mouth is.
Yep.
And I don't want to see Eugenio Suarez on a 2-year deal, right? If you're not going to actually make this team better as a win now team, because he doesn't move the needle. There's no reason to spend and waste millions of Cohen's dollars, right? If you're not going to go for the whole damn thing. So be consistent. That's all I'll say. Because right now we're kind of teetering back and forth of let's put a half-assed product out there in 2026 while also believing in these prospects. So
Well,
I do see the vision. I will say, not many people like to hear this. It takes a little bit of patience. I do see the vision with the prospects. That just means you're wasting out on years, like you said, of Lindor and Juan Soto. And that's the bottom line. So that's it for me. If there's anything that happens, I'll go live. I'll do a video, whatever. Keep an eye out on. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
yeah, and my final thoughts is with this is just the fact that there's no direction. And I think that's why a lot of us are mad. Look, we can be upset if Stearns wants to go one direction or the other. Like, let's go with the prospects, see what they got, and go all prospect ridden and see what they got, and hopefully it works. Or have a big offseason with signing in trades. Like, pick one. I mean, you should be doing both in a mixture, but he doesn't seem to want to do that in a mixture. So the problem is he's not picking either. And 2 weeks ago, he talked about top tier free agents and top trade market guys. And now we're talking about prospects 2 weeks ago, a 2-week difference. So the direction, I don't think he has one. Now, maybe he changed his plan because he screwed up whatever he screwed up with Diaz and others, Kyle Schwarber, and maybe that was what he was trying to do. And then it backfired, and now he's going to have to live on the prospects because where else is he going? So there's no direction, and that's the problem. Pick a direction, and I'd be okay with that. I might disagree, but pick a direction. I'd rather you be adamant this is what you're going to do than, like Chris says, and like I've been saying for 2 years, half-ass in deadlines and half-ass in off seasons. Because when you half-ass one of them, you got to do a lot more, either in the trade deadline or in the offseason, to get your team whole and better. So that is it, guys. So I would say keep your head up, but I'm lying to you. Like, I'm not saying anything positive at this point because, honestly, he doesn't deserve any positivity. And I'm sorry if this is a negative, opinion, but it's a fact. And we're not going to bullshit you. And we're going to tell you how we feel. And if it's negative, it is what it is. So thank you guys for tuning in to day 3 of the winter meetings. We'll have one more of these streams tomorrow. Again, we're not expecting anything. Hopefully we'll have Pete Alonso be going to the Red Sox or Orioles to talk about because he ain't coming to the Mets. But we have one more stream, day 4, last day of the winter meetings, for a final hot stove for the winter meetings. And, of course, any breaking news, any information coming out, we'll both try to have it for you on our respective channels, and we'll go from there. So have a good night, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we can say let's go Mets. I mean, that's what we
Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. We still love this team. Let's go Mets.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, all right, guys. Have a good night.
See you later.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife.